The March 1st deadline came, and it went. And nobody told you the truth about what that actually means. Here's what the mainstream crypto media is feeding you. Negotiations are ongoing. A deal is close. Both sides are making progress. And 52% of retail traders actually believe that. I saw the Cointelegraph poll. Over half of the people in this space thought a deal was done by March 1st. That tells me everything I need to know about how out of touch most retail investors still are. But you're here, which means you want the real story, not the comfort food version. What I'm about to walk you through is not what's being said on your average crypto YouTube channel. This is the structural reality underneath the headlines. And once you see it, you will understand exactly why XRP is sitting where it is, and exactly what has to happen before the next phase begins. Welcome back. I'm going to give you the calm, data-driven breakdown that you won't find anywhere else today. No hype, no panic. Just the framework, the math, and the signals that actually matter. Let's get into it. Let's start with the hard truth. Most people think the Clarity Act stalemate is about politics. It is not. It is about one thing: yield on stablecoins. And here's why that is actually the most important battleground in the history of U.S. crypto regulation. Think about what a stablecoin is from a bank's perspective. A dollar-pegged digital asset that lives on a blockchain that can be transferred instantly, globally, at near zero cost, and potentially pays its holder a return while it sits there. Now ask yourself, what does a bank account do? It holds dollar-pegged value, transfers money, and pays interest. If stablecoins pay yield, even indirectly through staking programs, membership rewards, or any other mechanism, then overnight, every dollar sitting in a savings account at a traditional bank becomes a candidate for migration. We're not talking about a few $billion. We're talking about trillions of dollars in retail deposits that currently fund the entire lending architecture of the American banking system. This is why the banks are not budging. This is not bad faith negotiation. This is survival instinct. Here's where it gets deeper. The crypto side, led by companies like Coinbase, Circle, and yes, Ripple, is not just fighting for yield because they want to be generous to their customers. They're fighting because yield is the core value proposition that makes stablecoins more attractive than bank accounts. Without it, stablecoins are just a faster wire transfer. With it, they become the foundation of a parallel financial system. So what you have right now is two immovable objects: banks protecting the deposit model that has existed for 200 years, and crypto firms trying to build the next generation financial rails that make that model obsolete. And the White House, Patrick Witt, David Sachs, the entire crypto council is sitting in the middle, trying to broker a deal that doesn't destroy either side. Brad Garlinghouse said it plainly this week. The door is wide open. The banks just need to walk through it in good faith. But walking through that door, from the bank's perspective, means accepting a world where their deposit base is permanently at risk. That is not a small ask. This is the hidden mechanism, not politics, not bureaucracy, a fundamental clash over who controls the future of the dollar. Now let's talk about why this matters so specifically for XRP. And let's do the math that most people are completely skipping. The global cross-border payments market processes approximately $150 trillion annually. The Nostro-Fostro system, the pre-funded accounts that banks maintain around the world just to facilitate these transactions, locks up an estimated $27 trillion in idle capital at any given moment. Sitting there, doing nothing, waiting to be used as a bridge in some future transaction. XRP's entire design thesis is that it eliminates the need for that $27 trillion in pre-funding. Instead of locking capital in advance, you use XRP as a bridge asset. You convert on one end, transfer in seconds, convert on the other end. The capital is freed up. The float disappears. Now here's the math. If XRP is going to serve as a liquidity bridge for even a modest fraction of that 150 trillion annual flow, the price of XRP is not a number that the community gets to wish for. It is a number that the math demands. Think about it this way. To move $1 million in a single transaction using XRP, you need enough liquidity on both sides of that trade. As adoption scales, as the number of simultaneous transactions grows, the demand for XRP as a settlement bridge grows with it. The total supply is fixed, 100 billion tokens. That does not change. What changes is the pressure applied against that fixed supply as utility expands. This isn't a prediction. It's a requirement. And here's the piece that almost nobody is talking about right now. The Clarity Act is the key that unlocks that utility at scale. Without regulatory clarity, an institutional treasury cannot legally designate XRP as a bridge asset in their cross-border payment infrastructure. Their compliance team won't sign off. Their legal team won't sign off. The risk exposure, especially given the political climate where, as one analyst noted this week, a policy reversal after the midterms could expose them to serious liability, makes the position untenable without the legal framework underneath it. The Genius Act passed. Stablecoin market cap surged 50% in the aftermath. One act, 50% expansion. That is what regulatory clarity does to capital allocation. Now imagine the Clarity Act passing, the full market structure bill, covering not just stablecoins, but the entire digital asset ecosystem, including XRP. The math on what happens next is not complicated. While retail is staring at the price chart and complaining about the delay, let me show you what the smart money is actually doing. Ripple did not pause. They have been executing. The acquisition of Hidden Road alone positions them directly inside the institutional prime brokerage infrastructure, the pipes through which Wall Street's biggest players move capital. You don't make that move if you think the regulatory environment is going to collapse. You make that move when you have high confidence visibility into the outcome. Look at what is happening at the agency level underneath the headlines. Patrick Witt confirmed this week that active dialogue is happening simultaneously across the SEC, CFTC, Treasury, OCC, and FDIC. 5 major regulatory agencies moving in parallel, all toward crypto normalization. When was the last time in the history of this asset class that you had every significant U.S. financial regulator moving in the same direction at the same time? The answer is never, and it's not just the U.S. The global regulatory convergence is accelerating. Jurisdictions that once saw crypto as a threat are now racing to position themselves as digital asset hubs. That capital has to flow somewhere. That infrastructure has to settle on something. The institutional actors, BlackRock, Fidelity, Franklin Templeton, these are not organizations that move on hope. They move on certainty. They move after their legal teams have done the analysis, after their compliance frameworks are in place, after the regulatory scaffolding is visible enough that they can build on top of it. They are not asking, will XRP be relevant? They are asking, when is the legal certainty confirmed so we can go public with our positioning? That question is being answered right now in closed rooms between senators and staff and industry representatives. The DeFi Education Fund is waiting on the next draft of the bill. Senate Democrats just had a member meeting on market structure that was described as positive by 2 staffers who were in the room. These are not signals of collapse. These are signals of a deal being assembled piece by piece. Retail sees delay. Institutions see a countdown. So what are the actual dates we are watching right now? The Senate Banking Committee is eyeing markup dates in mid to late March. That is not speculation. That is what is being reported by sources with direct access to the committee. A markup date means the bill is being prepared for a full Senate vote. That is the next major legislative gate. Simultaneously, the yield negotiations, now in their second month, are still the binding constraint on the stablecoin piece. The OCC signaling tighter limits through the Genius Act rulemaking last week may have actually shifted the negotiating leverage. If the rulemaking closes off the backdoor yield mechanisms that crypto firms were hoping to preserve through staking and membership programs, then the outstanding issue gets resolved not by agreement, but by regulatory definition. The deal gets forced. Watch the Senate Banking Committee announcement. Watch the next legislative draft text. Watch whether the OCC rulemaking crystallizes the yield debate in writing. These three events in sequence will tell you whether we are looking at a Q1 finish or a Q2 finish. The window is not closing, but it is narrowing. And every week that passes is a week where institutional capital is sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the green light. Here is the brutal question you need to ask yourself. What happens to the XRP price the moment this bill gets through markup and heads to a full Senate vote? The market will not wait for the signature. It never does. By the time legislation becomes law, the front-running has already happened. The institutional positioning is already complete. The retail investor who waited for confirmation is now buying into a market that has already repriced. This is not a new pattern. This is how every major regulatory catalyst in financial history has played out. Those who understood the structure entered early. Those who waited for certainty entered late. Right now, in this moment, the structure is visible. The catalysts are named. The timeline is measurable. The math is not ambiguous. The only variable left is when, and the answer to when is being written in Senate committee rooms this month. The question is, are you watching the noise, or are you watching the structure? Let me bring this home. The reason most people in this space are exhausted right now is that they were focused on the wrong thing. Meme coins, price charts, short-term leverage plays. They got wiped, they gave up, and they walked away from what may be the most significant restructuring of the global financial system in a generation. You are still here. That means something. It means you understand, or you are beginning to understand, that what is being built underneath the volatility and the noise is not another speculative cycle. It is infrastructure. It is legal architecture. It is the plumbing of a new monetary system. Neural networks were written off as dead for a decade. Then they weren't. The entire world reorganized around them in 5 years. This technology is on the same trajectory, just with a regulatory gate that is now, for the first time, visibly opening. The math doesn't lie. The signals are clear. The institutions are positioned. All that is left is patience, and the discipline to hold your understanding when the room gets noisy. If you made it to the end of this video, comment clarity below. I want to see who actually understands what is at stake in this moment. Not just the price, but the structure underneath it. If you found value in this breakdown, share it with one person in your circle who needs to hear it. Not for the hype, for the framework. Stay rational. Stay patient. Stay positioned. In a market fueled by emotion and noise, we thrive on data and composure. The math doesn't lie, and the system is almost complete. I'll see you in the next one.